The family of John Paddy Hemingway, the last surviving Royal Air Force RAF fighter pilot from the Battle of Britain, has announced the details of his funeral arrangements will be shared soon. His passing on March 17, 2025, at the age of 105 marks the end of an era, and his legacy as a war hero will be honored in a ceremony befitting his extraordinary life. The funeral will be attended by dignitaries, military officials, and those who cherished his contributions to history. A public memorial is also expected to take place, allowing admirers to pay their final respects. Further information on these arrangements will be covered in the video accompanying this tribute. The Battle of Britain. Hemingway's heroic role. John Paddy Hemingway's wartime legacy is deeply interwoven with the Battle of Britain, one of the most significant air battles of World War II. The conflict, which lasted from June to October 1940, was a crucial turning point in halting Nazi Germany's advance into Britain. As a fighter pilot in the RAF, Hemingway was part of the few, a term coined by Winston Churchill in his famous speech, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Hemingway's service was defined by courage and resilience. Flying the single-seat Hawker Hurricane, he faced relentless German Luftwaffe attacks. On August 12, 1940, he scrambled into the skies multiple times as German bombers targeted RAF bases and radar stations. Only days later, on August 18, he was shot down by a Junkers Ju-88 over the English Channel, forcing him to parachute into the sea. His logbook entry for that day was stark. Bailed out into sea, 12 miles off Clacton. He returned to combat almost immediately, but his perilous encounters did not end there. On August 26, Hemingway was shot down again, this time by a Messerschmitt Bf 109. Miraculously, he survived and resumed combat duties within 2 days. His ability to endure and fight on embodied the indomitable spirit of the RAF pilots who defended Britain against seemingly insurmountable odds. A legacy of survival and sacrifice. Despite the dangers he faced, Hemingway remained humble about his survival. The main skill was luck. "You had to be lucky, no matter how good you were," he once remarked. His words echoed the grim reality of war, where skill and bravery were often not enough to guarantee survival. The Battle of Britain claimed the lives of more than 1,500 Allied pilots, while over 2,500 German airmen perished. Yet, the RAF's fierce resistance forced Adolf Hitler to abandon plans for an invasion of Britain. Though the Blitz, Germany's bombing campaign, continued well into 1941, the RAF's efforts had already altered the course of the war. Early life and path to the RAF. Born in Dublin, Ireland on July 17, 1919, John Almond Hemingway grew up in a family with English heritage. His father, an architect and builder, provided a stable upbringing, while his mother took care of the household. Hemingway's passion for aviation emerged early, and he enlisted in the RAF in 1937. By 1938, he had earned the rank of pilot officer. When Germany invaded Poland in 1939, Hemingway's 85 Squadron was deployed to France as part of Britain's efforts to fortify its defenses. Hemingway's role in France and the Dunkirk evacuation. In May 1940, as German forces launched their devastating blitzkrieg into France, Hemingway shot down the Heinkel He-111 bomber on the first day of aerial combat. The next morning, he was tasked with strafing German armored columns, a mission that nearly cost him his life. Caught in anti-aircraft fire, Hemingway's plane was severely damaged, forcing him to crash land in a field. He hid near a bridge before flagging down a Citroën driver who helped him return to his base near Lille. His squadron suffered heavy losses during this period, as German forces overwhelmed France. With British and French troops trapped at Dunkirk, Hemingway and his fellow RAF pilots were tasked with covering the retreat. Over 338,000 soldiers were evacuated in Operation Dynamo, a turning point that allowed Britain to regroup and continue the fight against Nazi Germany. A war hero's continued service. Following the Battle of Britain, Hemingway continued to serve in aerial combat. In the final years of World War II, he was stationed in Italy, where he piloted Spitfires. In 1945, during the Allied push through Italy, his aircraft was hit by ground fire near Ravenna. Once again, he was forced to bail out, this time behind enemy lines. Hemingway connected with Italian partisans who disguised him as a farm worker. In a daring escape, he managed to walk past a German checkpoint and return to his squadron. A life beyond the war. After the war, Hemingway remained connected to aviation, though he lived a relatively private life. He rarely sought public recognition, despite his remarkable wartime experiences. He occasionally shared his memories in interviews, reflecting on the camaraderie and sacrifices of his fellow pilots. In later years, Hemingway became a revered figure in Britain and Ireland. In 2022, he was honored at an RAF event where he stood in front of a Hurricane fighter, a poignant reminder of his wartime service. Tributes from royalty and fellow veterans. News of Hemingway's passing prompted an outpouring of tributes. Britain's Prince William acknowledged his remarkable legacy, writing on social media. He never considered himself a hero, and often referred to himself as the lucky Irishman, a man simply doing his job, like so many others of his generation. Veterans associations and military officials echoed similar sentiments, calling Hemingway a symbol of resilience and bravery. The RAF praised him as one of the last links to the courageous airmen who safeguarded Britain in its darkest hour. The last of the few. Hemingway's passing marks the end of an era. As the last surviving RAF pilot from the Battle of Britain, he represented a living connection to one of history's most pivotal moments. His story, like those of his fellow pilots, will be remembered for generations to come. His funeral will serve as a solemn tribute to his service and sacrifice, ensuring that the legacy of the few endures. As Britain and the world bid farewell to John "Paddy" Hemingway, we honor not only his individual heroism, but also the collective bravery of those who fought for freedom during World War I.